So many Australians are carers, men and women, boys and girls, people of all ages. It's often hard to know who they are because it's the work that goes on behind the scenes. Carers working quietly and lovingly and without fanfare, a quiet kindness by quiet people. And it can be incredibly tough, especially when you're juggling other responsibilities like a job or indeed schoolwork or housework. And this year, doubly so, protecting loved ones from a pandemic and dealing with the restrictions of a pandemic yourselves. So I just wanted to say thank you. You're making an enormous difference. Even if sometimes you may feel that that's not the case and may doubt, don't. Your efforts, your sacrifice are an expression of a great love. They remind someone else that they matter, that they are loved, that they won't be abandoned. I know carers need support too. That's why our government announced unprecedented support back in August last year for Australia's 2.65 million unpaid carers, with respite support, emergency support and counselling. We didn't know back then what would transpire in 2020, and I'm so glad that support was put in place. The thing about caring is, it doesn't stop when the world is in turmoil. The needs continue, and the care must continue. That's why National Carers Week is so important. It's a reminder that everyone needs love and support and encouragement. And this year, that matters so much more, I think, than many other years. So thank you to Carers Australia for all your work supporting our carers, looking after them. We wouldn't be the good and decent country we are without our carers. So thank you for everything you do. It's appreciated so much.
Good afternoon, my name is Mark McConville and it is my honour to be your host for today. We quickly apologise for our late arrival, but we're with you now and everything's good. So on behalf of Carers Queensland, I would like to welcome you to the Carer Friendly Business Awards ceremony and celebration of National Carers Week 2020. While we may not be able to meet and celebrate this prestigious event in person, we promise to make this online event as entertaining for you as possible. So once again, thank you for joining us. I have some acknowledgements I would like to make. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge all of the carers that are with us today and the magnificent work you all do. I would also like to acknowledge the Director General for Department of Communities, Disability Services and Seniors, Claire O'Connor, the business representatives joining us today, and of course our sponsors Transurban Queensland, Console, PainPod and Mabel. And now for our welcome to country. It is a great honour to introduce you to Wiradjuri elder and artist from Central New South Wales, Paul Constable Calcutt. Uncle Paul contracted polio as a child, and this led to a passion for helping other Aboriginal people who are living with a disability. He has now been working within the disability sector for almost 30 years. To perform our acknowledgement of country, please welcome Uncle Paul Calcutt.
Hello everyone, Uncle Paul Calcutt here of the Wiradjuri people from Central New South Wales, now living on Kabi Kabi Jinnaburra country here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Today, before we conduct business, it's usually customary for us to do an acknowledgement of the traditional owners who walked and cared for the land that we're meeting on. But in these strange times, and by the use of technology, we find ourselves conducting business and participating from many different locations across this country. So what I'd like to do before we start the meeting is just ask people to reflect on the traditional owners of the land that they're now living and working on, and to think about the ancestors that cared for that land for thousands of years before European arrival, and to also think about the elders in their community and the valuable contribution that they make. And I'd like to ask the ancestors to look down upon us today and bless us while we conduct business, and hope that during our business we conduct it in a respectfully and resourceful way, and that we come out in a productive sort of manner and become better people for the end of it, with more knowledge and more sharing, can go about our business in a stronger way. So thank you everybody, and enjoy the meeting. And if you don't know who your traditional owners are where you're living now, do a bit of a Google research and find out who they are. It's really worthwhile knowing. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Paul. I would now like to introduce you to the Chair of the Carers Queensland Board of Governance, Jim Toohey. Jim has been a board member since 2012 and has lived experience as a carer himself. Please join me in welcoming Jim Toohey.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to the Carer Friendly Business Awards for 2020. Last year when I gave this address, I noted what an extraordinary year it had been. But this one doesn't just take the cake, the whole bakery's gone. The saying, "May you live in interesting times," is supposedly of Chinese origin, but that's disputed. What isn't is that it wasn't intended to be a blessing, but a curse. Interesting times are unpredictable, uncertain, and downright unpleasant. This time 12 months ago, Zooming was something you did in your car while running late to pick the kids up from school. If you'd shown me in October 2019 a headline from a major Australian newspaper which read, "Health Minister relaxes rules around singing," I would have checked to see if it was dated the 1st of April. If I'd walked into our local Woolworths years ago and not seen a single pack of toilet paper, I would have assumed the delivery truck had been in an accident. In 2019, social isolation was considered a terrible curse to be avoided at all costs. Yet here we are. I'd like to welcome the carers participating today, along with our honoured guests and dignitaries. Thanks for joining us and for your continued support. Thanks to the Department of Communities, Disability Services and Seniors for their support of National Carers Week events and activities. And a special shout out to all the businesses who've sponsored awards for today's event. In times such as these, when small and medium businesses have been hit so hard, it's a tremendous honour to have your support. This event is especially important for Carers Queensland. It's an opportunity to showcase Australia's unpaid carers and acknowledge the outstanding contributions they make to our community. More than that, it's a celebration of the success we've witnessed in the lives of carers and their families, the barriers we've overcome, and the opportunities we've created together. For more than 30 years, Carers Queensland has been advocating for equal rights and enhanced outcomes for caring families. There are over 2.7 million unpaid carers in Australia who provide support to family members and friends. That's 12% of the population. In Queensland, there are over 500,000 carers, including more than 50,000 under 18. 272,000 carers are under the age of 25, which equates to around 1 in 10. Carers provided 1.9 billion hours of care last year, and significantly more this year, given the reduction in paid care because of COVID. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are more likely to be carers than non-Indigenous people. 12.4% of Indigenous Australians provide unpaid care and support, compared with 10.5% of non-Indigenous Australians. More than 2/3 of primary carers are female. Between 25 and 30% of carers in Australia are from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. This year we've been particularly concerned about how well carers were coping in such a challenging environment. As a result, we conducted a wellbeing survey, and we found 38% of carers experienced a reduction in service delivery and 39% a decline in their mental health. 24% of carers were homeschooling, and 52% of those were homeschooling children with additional support needs. 10% of carers experienced a job loss or reduction in hours. Most importantly, whilst carers are traditionally those most accustomed to social isolation, opportunities for socialising, breakouts if you like, are so critical. And for many months these disappeared. Occasions to meet with family and friends were prohibited for understandable reasons, but their loss impacted disproportionately on carers more than anyone else. Carers are not complainers, and their contributions often go unnoticed. Yet they're the prime advocates for those who cannot advocate for themselves. Caring for someone often comes at great personal cost, coupled with the pain of social isolation, frustration, economic disempowerment, and often despair. So let's ensure that carers don't sacrifice their personal health and well-being because it's considered an acceptable cost of what's actually a shared responsibility. Since Carers Week last year, Carers Queensland has been engaged in a truly exciting initiative funded by the federal government to expand our existing registered training organisation, which assists unpaid carers seeking to enter or return to the workforce to gain the confidence, skills and training to do so successfully. It's called Your Caring Way. Without a doubt, unpaid carers will benefit from this program. It represents the culmination of a passion to provide those who have given so much to maximise opportunities the rest of us take for granted. We're delighted by this initiative because we know how much it will mean to those in the community who do so much on behalf of so many for so little. We'll keep you posted. The research demonstrates that caring is a powerful pathway to personal growth and lasting happiness. But it's important to remember that caring doesn't always feel great. The opposite is often true. Selflessly giving can sometimes make a carer feel unappreciated and taken advantage of. This is what drives us. This is what motivates us. This underpins our commitment to caring for carers. Thank you and all the best for the year ahead.
Thank you for that opening address, Jim. It is now time to hear from the Director General of Community Services, Claire O'Connor. Claire is joining us today as a representative for the Department of Communities, Disability Services and Seniors. Please join me in welcoming Claire O'Connor.
Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this year's Carer Friendly Business Awards. Last year I was delighted to attend the Carers Week Gala Luncheon Awards ceremony, and this year we are certainly celebrating very differently due to COVID-19. These awards are even more important this year, particularly as this pandemic has had a significant impact on carers and their loved ones. COVID-19 has reinforced the value of our carers and the role they play in our communities. It is also important to recognise the businesses that have gone above and beyond to support Queensland carers, especially in this very challenging year. While Carers Week will mostly be virtual this year, it has never been more important to celebrate and thank our carers for their contribution to our state. To all the businesses nominated today and to the winners, I offer my sincere congratulations and thanks. Enjoy the awards and have a very happy Carers Week.
Thank you very much, Claire. At the start of today's event, I mentioned that it is an honour to be your host, and I really mean that. My background is that I've been a stand-up comedian for over 22 years, and in 2018 I completed a master's degree in suicidology from Griffith University. Now I also work in the field of mental health, specialising in self-care for first responders. For the next 15 minutes, I would like to share with you some of my tools and strategies for emotional well-being that I hope will be of benefit to you all. So I just want to start by giving you a little bit of a background as to how it is that a stand-up comedian came to be interested in this in the first place. Back in 2012, I was performing on a cruise ship, a late night, 1 hour comedy show in front of 700-800 people. And they were the good times, everyone was out having a good time. And I'd done the show, the 1 hour show, and afterwards I was just standing at the bar, relaxing, and I noticed this couple walking towards me, mid to late 30s, quite fit looking, but the lady was crying. I could see that she was, upset about something, and they walked towards me, and I was like, what's happening here? And And I'll never forget it. This lady wrapped her arms around me and she said to me, I don't know how I can possibly thank you because I have not seen my husband laugh out loud for 3 years. And I just thought, 3 years, how is that even possible? You know, comedians, you know, get told all the time after shows, maybe some of you even watching have gone up to a comedian after a show and gone, you know, that was great, I haven't laughed in days or weeks or months, but 3 years, how is that possible? So I talked to this couple for hours into the middle of the night because I really wanted to know why that was. And it turned out the gentleman was an ex-SAS soldier from Western Australia who 3 years previously was in Afghanistan. He was conducting a patrol, he kicked open a door and it was booby-trapped. And it blew him up. And it injured, you know, killed one of his guys, it injured him to the point where he couldn't actively serve anymore. And here's a guy standing in front of me saying, mate, you've done more for me in one night than 3 years of counselling and post-traumatic stress management and medications, because you just made me laugh for an hour. And I'll be honest, I was pretty funny that night. And but it was his wife that really brought this to the fore, because she was upset at the fact that she said, why is it that for 3 years the people that were looking after her husband's rehabilitation at no point had said to him, are you still able to laugh? Do you still have your sense of humour? You know, so this chance encounter with this couple back in 2012 really had a profound impact on me. It made me think that maybe there's more to being a comedian than just simply walking on stage and doing shows. So I got off the ship, one thing led to another. I started to look at the whole laughter is the best medicine, which we've all heard. And fast forward to 2018, as you just heard, I completed a master's degree in suicidology and designed a humour and laughter education program specifically for people with stress, anxiety and depression. But I do have a passion for caring for the carers, our returned servicemen and our first responders and our carers. We need to care for the carers. So I know that the term self-care gets thrown around a fair bit, and I just want to invite you to cast your mind back to the last time you're on an aircraft, you were flying somewhere. I know that it would have been a while for a lot of us now. But when they talk about the safety speech and they mention the oxygen mask in the safety speech, what do they ask you to do with it? They always ask you to put it on yourself first before helping others. And the reason for that is that because we are no use to anyone else if we are suffocating, and our day-to-day life is exactly the same. If we want to be the best for the people around us, we need to try and find a way to be the best for ourselves. So I've got some reminders. It's all about just being reminded. This is nothing new. We know this stuff, but it is just about being reminded about the things in our life that are good for us. There are things in our life that make you happy. That is a reminder. We just need to consciously make that thought. What is it in your life that makes you happy? There are things in your life to look forward to. And obviously, there are things in your life that make you laugh. Because I promise you, at some point in your life, you have laughed really hard at something. So let's break those down. First of all, what makes me happy? I invite you to, if you've got a pen and paper handy, or if you want to share it with the other people that are tuning in today, think of top 5 things in your life that make you happy. What are they? What is it that brings you joy? And these might not be, then more often they're not going to be a physical item. They're going to be, you know, your partner or, you know, a significant other. They're going to most likely be your family, you know, children, kids, extended family, your friends, your relationships outside of your work, or it may be the relationships you have with the people in your work, the people that you are caring for. But there's one thing that makes us happy that I really want to just quickly talk about, and that is me time. Now, me time for a lot of us is so rare. It is so rare because we're so busy looking after everybody else that our own self-care and our me time quite often gets shuffled to the bottom of the to-do list. Okay, and I know that finding this time to do something for yourself is hard, but it is incredibly valuable and it is incredibly important, especially for carers that are so empathetic towards others. So I'd just like you to think about, what is it for you that you do for you? If you have an activity, a sport, a pastime, painting, photography, even just sitting and listening to your favourite music or watching a movie, something that you do just for you. What is your me time? Because I can guarantee you it will make you happy. It does make you happy. But a lot of the time when we think about things that make us happy, you know, if you go through the previous list, you know, family, friends, work colleagues, all that sort of stuff, it involves other people. A lot of the time, the things in our life that bring us joy and make us happy are other people, not items. You know, it's our relationships. So we really need to try and foster those and get as much out of those as we can. And we live in a time, obviously 2020 is so crazy, and we've constantly being heard social distancing. We need social distancing here, there and everywhere. But there is a problem with this term, there really is, because what they are asking us to do is they're asking us to be physically distant from each other. We need to be socially connected now more than ever. We need to be socially connected. Physically distanced, yes, but find a way of maintaining that social connection with your friends, your family, anyone in your life that you consider a significant other that brings you happiness and joy, being with that person, even if it's a phone call, a Zoom, a Skype, whatever, but really try and make sure you focus on physical distancing and socially connected. So let's go through to, actually just quickly, I want to say, you know, I was sharing with you things in my life that make me happy, you know, family, friends, all that sort of stuff. There is one thing in my life that doesn't make me happy, and that's Turkish Delight. I don't know if anybody else tuning in today would share my response to that, but what you can see on the screen there is something that, you know, Turkish Delight's not for me. So I want you to think about, what is it that are your top 5 things that make you happy? What are they? As I said, if you get a chance, write them down and find a way of bringing these into your life. And then we have a future thinking task. So we're talking before about there are things in your life to look forward to. This is incredibly important once again. And sometimes we can think, oh, it's a bit too big a picture item to think about. So what I invite you to do is to break it down onto 3 timelines. Okay, so have a think about, what are you looking forward to in the next 24 to 48 hours? What are you looking forward to in the next 2 to 3 weeks and in the next 2 to 3 months? So what are you looking forward to in 2 days, in 2 weeks and in 2 months? So, you know, 2 days could be a meal, a phone call, something, you know, the end of the working week. 2 weeks could be something that you're going to achieve around the house or anything like that. And 2 to 3 months, obviously, you know, we're all looking forward to hopefully being able to spend time with our loved ones at Christmas and having some type of normality come back into our lives. I think we're all looking forward to that. It's pretty, you know, pretty much goes without saying. And as I mentioned before, these are things that we already know. It's just about, sometimes we need to be reminded about these things, you know. And the same thing goes when we talk about laughter. You know, we were saying there are things in our life that make us happy, there are things in our life to look forward to, and there are things in our life that make us laugh. So have a think about, when was the last time you really laughed at something? You know, because we are given this. We are given this from birth. Laughter is an incredible mechanism for overcoming stress, anxiety and depression. You know, we're given it by whatever means of creator or creation as a biological release valve for overcoming stress, anxiety and depression. And the proof of this lies in the fact that babies and infants experience laughter years before they have any conceptual understanding of language or humour. You know, what are all these babies laughing at? I mean, seriously. So, you know, there's all these, you would have heard stats, you know, oh, babies laugh hundreds of times a day, adults laugh a dozen times a day. Whatever the statistics are, it's going to vary depending on what website you go to. But the truth of the fact is that, you know, what babies laugh. And as adults, we need to be reminded that this is important. So is it with your family? Is it with your friends? Is it with your co-workers? You know, who is it that you're experiencing laughter with? Because, you know, as a social connection tool, it's incredibly important. There are physical benefits of laughter and there are psychological benefits of laughter. You know, physical benefits, you know, it decreases stress hormones in our bodies and increases the feel-good hormones in our bodies. It increases our respiration. It exercises our muscles. You know, if you sit there and laugh for 2 hours, you feel exhausted at the end of it. It's a workout, you know, and psychologically, it's a fantastic way of overcoming stress, anxiety, depression. There is a brilliant book called Beyond Survival written by Captain Gerald Coffey. This guy was a POW during the Vietnam War. For 7 years he was isolated from his fellow prisoners, you know, and for 7 years, you know what these guys did to maintain their sanity? They tapped out jokes. They tapped out jokes on the walls of their cells to try and maintain some type of, you know, self-belief in the fact that they were going to get through this. And it's been researched. All of this, laughter is the best medicine, and all of these things that it does physically and psychologically are well researched around the country. And in actual fact, you know, we need to add laughter to our working and daily lives, bring more laughter into our lives and bring more laughter into the lives of those around us. So just quickly, I want to talk about, you know, humour, which is the construct that creates the laughter, is very important. So we need to ask ourselves, first and foremost, what is it that makes me laugh? What is it that makes you laugh? Because it will be individual to you. You know, what makes a paramedic or a police officer or a fiery laugh could offend a primary school teacher. Does that make it wrong? Absolutely not. They're using laughter and humour as a mature coping mechanism to cope with trauma and stress. It's incredibly important. So that's where we need to start. Ask yourself, what is it that makes you laugh? And then we start to go, how can I bring more laughter into my life? We go, what comedians do I like? What television shows do I like that make me laugh? Who do I know in my life that makes me laugh? Who can I share laughter with? So then we go, how can I bring more laughter into my life? So if you have a child in your life, or you're very au fait with YouTube, you know, we can get onto YouTube, create a little playlist, create a laughter library playlist, right? And if you don't know how to create a playlist on YouTube, ask a teenager, they'll be all over it. And call it your laughter library and just search for clips of comedians or shows, whatever it is that's going to make you laugh, and dump them in your laughter library. So now, all throughout the day, you have access to items that make you laugh that you've chosen for yourself. And try and spend 20 to 30 minutes a day, if you get a chance, you know, late at night, or instead of watching the news, you know, watch things that make you laugh. Have a think about that. And the final one is, so once you know what makes you laugh, how can you bring more laughter into your life? Then we explore, how can we bring more laughter into the lives of those around us? Okay, because sharing laughter with others, as I said, it's an incredibly social event, and it's very important for connection. So obviously, you know, we need to be physically distanced, socially connected, and laughter is a fantastic way of doing that. So I sincerely hope that each and every one of you watching today got something out of that presentation, and as I said, we just need to be reminded about this stuff. So look, in 2020, the National Carers Week ambassadors, we have different ambassadors every year. This year the ambassadors are the wonderful musical duo, the Veronicas, Jess and Lisa. They care for their mum, Colleen, who has a rare degenerative disease, progressive supranuclear palsy. And they have a message for you today. So please join me in welcoming Jess and Lisa, the Veronicas.
Hi everyone, we're the Veronicas, and we're really honoured to share this moment with you, especially all the amazing carers who are an inspiration to everyone. It's National Carers Week, which is the perfect time to celebrate carers everywhere and to present Carers Queensland Carer Friendly Business Awards. These awards recognise and celebrate employers, employees and businesses that go the extra mile to make life better for carers. Each year, Carers Queensland invites carers to nominate businesses or people who deserve recognition for exceptional service or carer-friendly employment practices. The awards are a chance to say thank you to that business or that person who's making a difference in your life. Thank you for submitting your nominations, for speaking up and joining our voice. And congratulations to the winners.
Thank you, Jess and Lisa. And now it's time to get into the Carer Friendly Business Awards for 2020. For 17 years, the Carers Queensland Carer Friendly Business Awards have been recognising and celebrating employers, employees and businesses that go the extra mile to make life better for carers. Each year in the lead up to National Carers Week, we invite carers to nominate individuals or businesses who deserve recognition for exceptional service or care-friendly employment practices. Nominations are for Queensland only and are made under 3 categories: great employer, great employee and great business. From the dozens of entries across Queensland, the judging panel has selected 3 state winners. The Carer Friendly Business Awards ceremony always takes place during National Carers Week every year. Carers Week is what brings us here today. It's all about recognising and celebrating the outstanding contribution made by Australia's 2.65 million unpaid friend and family carers. This year, we are asking all Australians to share their stories about supporting carers and thank them for their extraordinary contribution to this country. When you can, please take a minute to tell us your story on the National Carers Week website, which is carersweek.com.au. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank Transurban Queensland for lighting up the Sir Leo Heisler or the Gateway Bridges in red from Sunday the 11th of October to Thursday the 15th of October in honour of carers. And we'd also like to acknowledge the Queensland Government for supporting Carers Week activities once again this year. And now for this year's Carer Friendly Business Awards. Our first Carer Friendly Business Award of the afternoon is for the category of Great Employer, sponsored by Mabel. Primary carers are estimated to spend an average of 35.2 hours per week providing care to their loved ones. These caring requirements place a significant load on them, forcing many to either reduce their hours worked or withdraw from the labour force altogether. Working carers need an employer who demonstrates an understanding of their situation and supports their caring commitments outside of work with alternative work arrangements and established policies or practices in place. The winner of the 2020 Carer Friendly Business Award for Great Employer is Cairns Periodontics. This great employer was nominated by Kelly Belcher. Carers Queensland really appreciates all of the time spent in submitting these nominations. The stories were amazing, and today we highlight the key points from each. So here is what Kelly had to say. My name is Kelly and I have a 9-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with inattentive subtype ADHD and autism 2 years ago. I was working at Cairns Periodontics at the time and had been there for a little over 3 years. My husband, Kaylin's father, was in the Navy and was away a lot of the time that she needed appointments, leaving me the only parent who could take Kaylin to the plethora of appointments that were coming our way. Her school would ring my workplace daily, requesting I collect her as she would be melting down to the point of classrooms needing to be evacuated because they couldn't settle her. Although I became very unreliable during this process, not to mention highly emotional, Melissa and Brian and the team at Cairns Periodontics stood by my side constantly with unwavering support. They had my back, whether it was to pick up my slack when I had to take Kaylin to an appointment, or to collect her from school, or when I had to reduce my working hours. Whenever I personally needed a shoulder to cry on because it was all getting too much, I was offered a safe space to let it all out and was offered a warm, reassuring hug. I never at any stage was made to feel guilty, although deep down I did. I felt supported and safe, which is a hard thing to find in any workplace. I nominated Melissa and Brian and the team at Cairns Periodontics for the Care Friendly Business Award to show a drop of just how much appreciation I have for them. So many businesses say we provide a work-life balance. However, not too many actually offer it when it comes to the crunch. Cairns Periodontics have stood by each of their employees whenever they are needed, and are well deserving of this award. So now let's hear from our winner, Brian from Cairns Periodontics.
Hello and welcome to Cairns Periodontics. We would just like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Carers Australia for the award as the most carer-friendly business in the state. I'd like to thank Kelly, who nominated us. Kelly's an integral part of our team. We're a specialist dental practice, and the work that we do is very, very difficult, and one of the things that we need to make our lives as easy as possible is a good team behind us. And I'm lucky to have Mel, who is our practice manager and helps me with staff selection and keeping morale up. And we find that our greatest asset in our workplace is our staff. So we do our best to look after our staff, and hopefully we will hang on to them for as long as we can. So thank you, Carers Australia, for the award. It was most unexpected and it will be greatly appreciated. And we will gloat to everyone who will listen to about winning it. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful story. And I just wanted to say that we have the beautiful awards trophies with us here in the studio, and these will be posted out to all of our winners in the coming days. So make sure you look out for those, because they'll be coming to you shortly. Our second award for the afternoon is for the category Great Employee, sponsored by PainPod. The Great Employee Award is for employees of a company or service provider that goes the extra mile in helping others. And of course, we have a winner, the Care Friendly Business Award for Great Employee for 2020 is 4 Mile Farm. 4 Mile Farm was nominated by Anne-Marie Dyer. Anne-Marie has actually sent us a short video, but before we hear from her, I'd like to give you some of the key points from her nomination. So here is what Anne-Marie told us. My husband has a treatment-resistant psychiatric disability and is insulin dependent, spending the last 5 years constantly in hospital. Only recently he has managed to transition out of hospital into an aged care disability complex in Rockhampton, where it has been challenging to find NDIS activities which engage him as a 61-year-old. Being a bushie through and through, we had just about given up hope of finding any suitable activities. But a chance remark from a friend about 4 Mile led us to investigate more about this family-run initiative. And oh, what a find. This dynamic young couple who manage this small but growing complex offer horse riding, feeding animals, blokey activities in the men's shed, cooking up morning teas, mending fences and maintaining a property. My husband has been made to feel welcome and empowered in this environment, which is something that he loves and deeply misses. Ben from 4 Miles down to earth and inclusive manner is a wonderful trait. The staff that work at 4 Mile offer the same level of support and encouragement to all visitors. When my husband is unwell, they have taken him to doctor's appointments and they stay with him. Nothing is too much trouble, and they show genuine care and respect for my husband, who has some challenging behaviours when he's unwell. What a fantastic service for the disability sector in Central Queensland. So now let's watch Anne-Marie's video before we hear from our winners, Ben and Nikki at 4 Mile Farm.
I wanted to nominate 4 Mile Ageestment for the Carer Friendly Business Awards because they provide such excellent support when I really needed it the most. So my husband has had a number of acute admissions over the past few months, pretty much since COVID has started, and it's been quite stressful working full time and trying to navigate a hospital or an urgent admission. 4 Mile was able to stay with my husband as required. They didn't need to, but they just stayed with him because they recognised that he was so incredibly unwell. They have risen up and beyond, the expectations that I had of an NDIS provider, and I am just so impressed by the level of care and support and the wonderful bush experience that they provide for my husband, who has had a new lease of life, and for someone who has a psychosocial disability where you have got no connections and very limited connections in the community. It just makes my heart sing. So thank you so much to 4 Mile for the wonderful, wonderful support that you give to people with really severe disabilities, and to be able to have a full and productive life. Well done.
G'day, we're the team from 4 Mile Farm in Rockhampton. We're very honoured to be nominated for the Queensland Carers Great Employee Award.
Wow, we're so humbled to have won this award. There's so many great carers out there all across Queensland, and we don't think that we are exceptional at what we do. We just do our job and love it. We are just really humbled and honoured. Thank you. 4 Mile was nominated for this award because we work with Greg really closely with what Greg wants to do. We're from a rural background, and so was Greg. And so we can read him and what he wants to do on the day. So if he comes and he's really energetic and he would like to do some fencing or loading hay or go for a horse ride, then we work with that. If he's not having an energetic day and he just wants to chill out a little bit more, we just do low energy tasks on the farm, and my carers just swap and change, and I think that's what's really important.
It's a great honour to win an award like this when you compare yourself to some of the other great carers in Queensland. It's just about being a mate for someone when they're having tough times and being there for them when they're having good times. And we kind of try and provide that, and it's pretty cool to be recognised.
I was extremely humbled to hear that we had won this award. I feel that the work we do with Greg is no different to what we would do with any other person. We treat him with the same respect and dignity we do with everyone else, and to think we're thought of in such a high regard, to think we deserve this nomination is just, it's insane. It's just so appreciative beyond words.
I think working with clients, it's really important to engage them as if they were your loved one, and work with them as if they were your own, and form that relationship.
Another wonderful story for us today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome actually into our studio here, we have the Chair of Carers Queensland's Board of Governance, Jim Toohey, has actually joined us live in the studio. Welcome, Jim. Thanks for joining us. So how do you think that National Carers Week helps support carers and their families and the wider community?
Well, thanks for having me, Mark. It's a really important opportunity to put a spotlight on this group in the community who live with us as part of our community, but who often are making an enormous contribution that goes unseen. And if we can bring that to light even only for a week, it might inspire the rest of us to say, look, there's probably only a little bit I can do, but if I do it, it'll make a difference in a carer's life. So that's really important.
And I believe there's been a lot of changes throughout the year in relation to national funding for carers and the Carer Gateway. So how do Carers Queensland support carers on like a day-to-day basis?
Look, there's a range of programs that we have that are based on supporting carers to be better carers and helping them to be better carers and to get the services that they need. They range from things such as programs designed by carers for carers, so they can online connect with us, or when the time's appropriate again, face to face, and make sure that they're telling us what they need and what will make a difference to them. Advocacy is really important. Carers often find it difficult to advocate for themselves, and we really put a lot of time and effort into getting an understanding of what the issues for them on the ground are. We hold regularly, we haven't this year obviously for obvious reasons, carer conversations where we travel to various regions in Queensland. We bring carers together for a day, put on a nice lunch for them and get their input into some research that's been conducted or some proposed legislation or program, because we want to make sure as an organisation that what we reflect to government isn't an organisational perspective, it's a carer perspective.
Yeah.
So they're very valuable insights we get that we're hopefully able to inform government and the community about. We run a program called Empower Care, where we help people to manage their home care package and manage the aged care system. It can be very difficult and complex, and that's a program which is designed to provide case management, but also to help people to navigate that very difficult journey, including, when the time comes, to transition from home care into residential care, into residential aged care. So that works well for us. It works well for carers, I should say. We also offer a non-interest loan scheme for carers. Carers often are amongst the lowest socioeconomic group in the community. And it's interesting that something as simple as a fridge dying, which the rest of us might have a grumble and complaint about before we go down to the Good Guys to get a fridge, can be something they simply can't afford. So this is a system which allows them to buy something essential and to make payments on that over an agreed period of time at no interest. It works very well. This year, of course, we've taken a special effort to stay in contact with people during COVID. We were very concerned about how this was impacting on them. The state government gave us some funding to specifically stay in contact with carers. We did something called Laughing Yoga. Now, you're a comedian, you might have heard of this.
Laughing Yoga,
I haven't.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I hadn't heard of it, but I'm led to
They're
believe...
those people that you see in the park.
Oh, okay.
You know, that you see all standing around in the park and you think, what are they laughing at?
Yeah, no, well, I hadn't heard of it, but I'm told it's very popular. I'm told
Yeah,
every
it's good
time
for
we
you.
advertise a new round of Laughing Yoga, we're subscribed very quickly. So
Yeah, I bet.
those things work very well for carers, and I think it's been important for them to understand that we are there, we're still in touch, we still want to know, and we're still very much interested in those issues for them. So a whole range of things.
Yeah. Well, I could imagine that if you're new to being a carer, it would be overwhelming to start with.
Oh, of course.
You know, it would be incredibly overwhelming, and then you'd put on the pandemic on top of that.
Yep.
You know, to add that, you know, to what you were already feeling.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, it's good and heartwarming for these people knowing that there's an organisation like Carers Queensland that has got their back.
Yeah.
As an
I hope
entity.
so.
You know, so
people entering the NDIS for the first time, for
absolutely.
example.
Yeah.
Our local area coordination program is now the biggest in Australia.
Yeah.
And that's a really important part of our offering for carers as well, because it's all very well to say, you know, I benefited from this program and I have a budget for the person I care for. But we find it really fulfilling for us to be able to sit down and say, well, let's work out a plan.
Yeah.
What's
Yep.
the best way to operationalise this budget? What's the best way to get bang for buck? So that's been really exciting as well.
The village.
The village,
The
yes.
village.
Yes.
You know, it's great. Well, look, you know, we've got to keep going with the awards, but thank you very much for your time today,
No,
Jim.
my
Really
pleasure.
appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And Yeah, good luck for the rest of the year.
I didn't bring any Turkish delight.
Ah,
I
thank
meant
goodness
to,
for that.
but I didn't.
Thank goodness for that, because I'm not a fan.
I know,
I'm not a
I
fan.
know, I saw
I'm not
that.
a fan. So, look, folks, we're into our final award for the afternoon, and it is for the category of Great Business, and this is sponsored by Console. So this category acknowledges businesses that go above and beyond in the service for carers. And the winner of this year's Great Business Award is Adco Construction from Southport. They were nominated by Anthony McGrath. And here are the key points from what Anthony had to say in his nomination. I'm an independent support worker, and for the last year have had the privilege to care for Chris, 23, and his sister Abigail, 22. Chris and Abigail live semi-independently in their own apartment on the Gold Coast with in-home support from independent support workers. On our hunt for more work experiences, and through the help of Renee Cohen from the Gold Coast Titans, we met with Tom Hill from Adco Constructions. We met Tom at Adco headquarters in Southport and listened to Tom and Adco's vision for a more inclusive workplace. Tom listened to Chris's wants and needs, of which he is not shy in vocalising, but he listened with patience and respect. We then met Tom Hill and Michael Duckett and James Davies from Adco on Chris's current work site, which is the Pimpamar Sports Hub. All of my questions and concerns were discussed. We collaborated on Chris's role and expectations, and we agreed that to be truly inclusive, Chris would be hired as a traditional employee. Fast forward to today, Chris is the morale officer site assistant, and his roles vary from document control to site safety walks, making coffees to making smiles. He takes pride in helping Kimberly in the office or helping Glenn on site. All of the staff on site help to navigate Chris's physical limitations and come up with strategies to make his work time more enjoyable and more accessible. After such a volatile start to 2020 due to COVID, the Care Friendly Business Awards are a great space to highlight positivity in the world, and for nominating Adco was an easy decision, as even during the pandemic, Adco are still focused on inclusion and removing barriers to employment for people like Chris. Adco and their staff have shown Chris and I the utmost respect, seeing the pride Chris has in his job and the opportunities Adco have given him reinforce why I chose to be a support worker. I believe Adco are paving the way for other businesses to see the value of an inclusive workplace. And now let's hear from our final award winner, Adco Constructions.
G'day everyone, my name is Tom. This is Chris.
Good.
We are here at Pimpamar. Adco, my family business, has been chosen as the winner for the Carer Friendly Business Award for 2020. We are absolutely delighted to accept this. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, my name is Chris Hickman, but I got a team. I take all my work on. And Jen, you're a good person. I'm not like you. And Glenn, thanks for me. And I love this thing. And I love Edgar so much for me because I really do. I love it so much from my heart. And I love that. Thank you, but I worked so hard for you. And thanks for almost like with me. And I love it so much. And for me, it's work like me. And I have a good time. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for Alcohol. Thanks, Glenn and Michael. Thanks for making me work hard for me.
What about Kimberly?
And Kimberly and you doing good. Thank you so much.
Adco, at heart, is a family business. We care about others, and we want to give people like young Chris all the opportunities in the world. The story began at the Gold Coast Titans. Former captain Ryan James and I were having a conversation. The Titans have a fantastic community engagement program. He asked for Adco to be a part. We could not be happier. Chris was a part of that process. We wanted to include Chris. We saw real talent in Chris, and we felt that ADCO could harness that talent on site safely. Here we are today. Chris is doing an amazing job. This award to me means fulfillment. It is very nice to impact someone's life and to be recognised for it. I suggest all businesses, big or small, take the initiative, take the leap, go through the process. It is really, really enjoyable. The financial cost is minimal compared to the fulfillment you get out of the process.
What a wonderful story to end the final business award. Now, for more than 30 years, Carers Queensland has been working to make life better for caring families. In the same way, to create and promote carer-friendly organisations. This year, we're excited to launch a brand new initiative, Your Caring Way. Your Caring Way is a new program for carers wanting to pursue their own goals, like training, education, volunteering or employment. It's a pilot program and it'll be run over 2.5 years across 3 states, Queensland, South Australia and Tasmania, and is funded actually by the Department of Social Services. Our General Manager of Strategy, Cameron Thayer, leads this program and has joined us today in the studio to discuss Your Caring Way. So thank you very much for coming in, Cameron.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So I know that I gave a bit of a lead in there to what Your Caring Way is broadly, but how do you feel as though it differs from other training and employment services?
Look, you gave a great introduction there, Mark. Look, just to touch on, Your Caring Way is a specialised program that's been specifically designed for carers wanting to pursue goals in their life, to increase their social, their economic participation, whether it be through training, education, volunteering or work. And there are some specific considerations to ensure that it's a carer-centric program, and I'll just touch on those for a moment. The first thing is it's an integrated end-to-end one-stop shop service. Our aim was to simplify the need for carers to have to navigate through different services, programs, organisations and bring the essential components together so there was one point of contact, there was a point of continuity in the relationships that they would form with their coaches, and there'd be continuity in the service provided. So that's the first thing. Secondly, this program has been built on a rich tapestry of knowledge and experience and insights and research over the last 31 years that we've acquired as an organisation working with carers. So it's a targeted program specifically aimed at carers. The third thing to mention there, I think, in terms of how it differentiates from other common employment programs in community is the nature of the coaching relationship, the dynamics of the relationship with the coach that is focused on establishing goals, focused on progress, being accountable for the actions that you take and ultimately achieving those goals. That partnership style coaching relationship is critical in the framework and principles that we apply and certainly differentiate it from other types of programs.
It's quite interesting that you've kind of already answered my next question, which was going to be the history behind this. Because, you know, looking at decades worth of research is obviously so important, and is this an impetus as to why Carers Queensland started to develop this program, like the history behind it?
Absolutely. I think over the years we've acquired a lot of anecdotal evidence and feedback from people who are carers that we work with, and it's been clear that there are emerging and re-emerging themes and the same challenges that seem to come to light. The research has evidenced that, some great research in the UK and more recently in Australia, that has demonstrated the underrepresentation of carers in the workforce, and the key reasons why that is being the lack of flexible working arrangements or employers not understanding the challenges of balancing the caring and the working roles and responsibilities. The other part of that is seeing the barriers faced by those that have been out of the workforce for a number of years as carers, trying to re-engage. So when we saw that and we packaged that information up together, we designed a service and a service delivery model that really reflected those core needs and pulled on some contemporary principles of service delivery. We put that to the federal government. to the department, and they too saw the need, they saw the imperative, and they recognised that a program like Your Caring Way would actually address those needs.
So I suppose my last question is divided into two bits. Are there any eligibility criteria for being involved, and how do you get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you'd never ask. That's a great question. Great questions. In terms of eligibility criteria, obviously you need to be a carer currently or have been a carer in the last 2 years that is seeking training and education support, and with the idea to achieve either volunteering or employment as an outcome. So you need to be a carer, you need to be interested in what the program is offering, which is training, education, volunteering and employment. If you fit that mould, we would love to talk with you, and the way in which you can do that is on our 1300 number, 1300 585 636, or go to our website yourcaringway.com.au, and we would invite carers or employers that want to enrich their workforce, like those you've heard from today, with a great skilled group of people that want to be there.
Aren't there amazing organisations out there that are doing this?
Absolutely, and we saw the vision of we need to bring more of those employers to the table. There's so much value for everyone involved if we can connect those dots, and that's what we're here to do.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure that the three that we heard from today are just the tip of the iceberg in relation to, you know, businesses that are out there in the community making a difference and trying to support, from having carers as employees to having people-inclusive workplaces.
Absolutely, and as you've seen there, the benefits for the employers themselves, the strength for their brand, the opportunity to bring new and diverse skills into their organisation, it's a real win-win, because these are people that want to be there. They want the opportunity. They're aspiring to be in the workforce or to be re-engaged workforce. So it's a real win-win opportunity that we're aiming to provide here.
And it makes you feel good to help people.
Absolutely.
And who doesn't want some feel-good stuff this year?
And that's why we come here every day. We are running on passion, and everyone from Carers Queensland would agree. The fuel in our lamp is passion, and that's why we do what we do, and that's why we're here.
Nice one, Cameron. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks so much, Mark.
So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us actually to the end of the 2020 Care Friendly Business Awards. So, on behalf of Carers Queensland, I would like to once again congratulate all of our winners and to say thank you to our sponsors, obviously, and of course everyone that has been in attendance today. We thank you for your time and your attendance and your attention, and most definitely to our carers who are out there in the community every day. Thank you for everything that you do. You are greatly appreciated by all of us. So don't forget to visit the National Carers Week website at carersweek.com.au to share your story with us. So that's it, folks. My name's Mark McConville. Thank you very much for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day.